Good evening, beautiful people. We are here with part 19 of Condensed Chaos by Hines. Witches, wizards, warlocks, magicians, maguses, magi. Strap yourselves in. We're going to start the read. Points of honor. Your word is your bond. Avoid placing yourself in a situation where your integrity can be questioned. Be aware that other people, particularly other magicians, are continually looking at your reputation. It can take years to establish yourself as a magician, but you can blow your reputation away in a single evening. If I say so, I will try. If I say I shall, I will do. If I say I promise, then I am bound. If you say you will do something, then you must do it. If you are dependable, people will have confidence in you. The more confidence they have in you, the more powerful a magician you will become. Equally, if you cannot realistically do something, then it is a mark of quality to say that you cannot do it. This point is particularly pertinent if you choose to perform magic on behalf of other people. Resolve problems. If problems occur, they should be dealt with as soon as possible. The longer a problem is left, the less likely it is that it will be resolved. If a problem relating to another person cannot be resolved, then contact them as soon as possible anyway. Prompt dealing with problems is generally appreciated. Admit errors. It is better to admit a mistake freely and without reservation than to attempt to cover it up. This also builds credibility, providing, of course, you do something about the problem. These points are mostly related to how you deal with other people. From the perspective of chaos magic, the mark of an effective magician is the ability to deal effectively with other people in a wide range of life situations. If you strive to uphold these points of honor and others towards other people, then you will be more likely to apply them to yourself. Attentiveness. Situations are more complex and subtle than most people are willing to recognize. It pays to be attentive to what is happening around you. Beware of being overconfident or too tense. Beware of anything that dulls your attentiveness to others. The practice of deconditioning, which I shall discuss in due course, is important in this respect. You must be able to distinguish between the world as it is and how you would like it to be. One example which demonstrates this necessity is conversational feedback. If you are talking to someone else with a specific purpose in mind, such as convincing them of the need to buy a product, then it should be fairly obvious that you need to pay attention to the way in which they respond to what you are saying. Such feedback can be verbal, words, tone of voice, and non-verbal, facial response, body posture, etc. And, in order to be effective, you will need to be able to correctly interpret the other's reaction and change your tactics accordingly. Often, though, people do not pay attention to feedback, as their attention has been diverted. This may be due to lack of or overconfidence in the situation. In other words, they have already decided the outcome, either a success or failure. They are unwilling to let anything that the other person says alter their conclusion. Another reason may be that the speaker has invested so much self-importance in what he is saying that the listener's response is not important. It may help in this regard to discuss the quality of intuition as a refined form of attentiveness. Intuition is often referred to in terms of being a mysterious sixth sense, which is somehow related to psychic powers and the like. This reflects how we model the cognitive patterns which we use to make conclusions rather than anything mysterious or paranormal. Partially, the ability we call intuition is the capacity to arrive at decisions without moving through the process of conscious logical deduction. Another key part of this ability is our skill at being able to recognize very small sensory cues and gain an overall impression, a gestalt, again, without using linear cognition. What is also of interest is that intuitional responses often seem to appear without being prompted, when we are relaxed or not thinking about the subject of the thought. Intuition is also contextual. When I worked as a therapist in a busy psychiatric department, I found that I was beginning to make snap diagnoses of clients without having had access to their case notes, and that in at least 8 of 10 cases, I proved to be right. A few years later, I began to lead seminars in magical training, and I found that in time, I could make fairly accurate distinctions between people who had, during an exercise, entered a fairly deep level of trance, and those who were faking it. In each case, I knew what signs to look for, and was processing very rapidly a wide variety of feedback cues without being aware of anything but the cognitive outcome. Like confidence, attention can be considered to be a skill. One level of the skill is training yourself to be very aware of your environment at any time, while at the same time remaining detached, empty of preconceptions and expectations, and above all, relaxed. Another level of the skill is learning to accept whatever impressions arise in your mind without dismissing them or, for that matter, latching onto them to the extent that later impressions are excluded. To be effective, a magician needs to be attentive not only to his external surroundings, but to his own emotions, motivational complexes, desires, habits, and internal dialogues. Alright guys, we're going to stop it there, and we will be back tomorrow with more Condensed Chaos reading.